Ukraine alleges Russian dirty bomb deception at nuke plant. What happens when people walk in here and they just see me being stupid, and then all of a sudden I turn into like serious newsman, and I actually have like the news voice? And it's like, oh shit, this motherfucker could do this for real. He could be an anchor on a news station. Turn down for what? Are you telling me to turn up? Because I would say that's your volume. My levels look good. Just saying. Can't hear what? You're gonna have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel. This is one of my favorite lines of all time. I don't want to be a news anchor unless they let me do a news show like this. This is too goddamn fun. I want you guys to help make me famous here. Come on, come on. If I just get Jackson Hinkle level, I'm doing well. Yes, clinically, that's a homerism. I don't have to. Who's winning so far? The Green Bay Packers. Green Bay's winning. And I don't know, like, I'm in dark mode. I don't know how to make, like, the AP is white. I don't know how to make it dark mode, because I know that also turns people off, that it's so goddamn bright. I don't know how to fix that. And as we've seen, when I try to use the MSN version, like, it operates like shit. Quality of life improvements for the Troll Patrol going forward. I'm all about them. I'm trying. I'm winning, William. I'm winning. Seriously, I want to do this, and I'll look. If you guys help me get to where I can make a comfortable living. I don't want to be fucking famous. I don't want to make $1 million. I don't want to be fucking Walsh. I have no desire for any of that shit. I want a small niche corner of the internet where a cool community gathers for a few hours every night to talk about the fucking news and other bullshit. With very limited kind of advertising. As I said last night, I would sell to like my friends. I would let my friends that have bands advertise like their new albums and shit. My friend runs a t-shirt store. Toxic teas, that kind of shit. Those are the kind of people I would court as advertisers, products that I'd actually believe in, that you guys would actually want to consume. Spotlighting independent artists and shit. They ain't got any money either. Oh no, I gotta worry out something. That's why I let the commercials blast on Twitch. But I'm trying to do them in a way where I like fuck Twitch over, kind of. The commercials play the way they're supposed to, but I try to, give everybody a pee break and refill your drink, and we come back and we watch the news. Yeah, I'm just ranting now. I've lost everybody's like, fucking do the news. This is good pot, by the way. This is really good pot. It could have something to do with it. Ukraine's nuclear energy operator said Tuesday that Russian forces were performing secret work at Europe's largest nuclear power plant, activity that could shed light on Russia's claims that the Ukrainian military is preparing a provocation involving a radioactive device. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, I fucked his name up, made an unsubstantiated allegation that Ukraine was preparing to launch a so-called dirty bomb. Shoigu leveled the charge over the weekend in calls to his British, French, Turkish, and U.S. counterparts. Britain, France, and the United States rejected it out of hand. They were acting out of pockets what's going on, as transparently false. Ukraine also dismissed Moscow's claims as an attempt to distract attention from the Kremlin's own alleged plans to detonate a dirty bomb, which uses explosives to scatter radioactive waste in an effort to sow terror. Energodom, The Ukrainian, and I fucked that up too, the Ukrainian state enterprise that operates the country's 4 nuclear power plants said Russian forces have carried out secret construction work over the last week at the occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Russian officials controlling the area won't give access to Ukrainian staff running the plant or monitors from the UN's atomic energy watchdog that would allow them to see what the Russians are doing. Energodium said Tuesday in a statement. It assumes the Russians are preparing a terrorist attack using nuclear materials and radioactive waste stored at the plant. It said there were 174 containers at the plant's dry spent fuel storage facility, each of them containing 24 assemblies of spent nuclear fuel. Sounds like they're trying to be open and do an open accounting of what they've got, but also, could that be subterfuge to say, oh, we said there were 15, but we actually had 12 and there were 3 missing. I don't want to play conspiracy theorist here. I don't fucking shit. Because I know there's a whole war raging on the left, and I don't want no part of it. We're going to talk about like it's seeped into the Democratic and Progressive caucuses. Jesus fucking Christ. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. What is a dirty bomb and why is Russia saying Ukraine could use one? Aston answered, I am sorry. Yes, it was about 2 hours ago now. You're on YouTube. Click on my channel. You can go back and watch it from the beginning. You can watch this stream from the beginning, or here in a couple hours, I'm going to have it up as its own independent thing, and you can check out the Fetterman-Oz debate. What is a dirty bomb and why is Russia saying Ukraine could use one? Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu told the UK's Defense Secretary Ben Wallace in a phone call that he was concerned about the possible provocations by Kyiv involving the use of a dirty bomb. Roland Art, good evening. I also think I fuck up your name every time. Dustin, so glad to see you as well. I don't know if I gave you a shout out. The Packers are winning, William. He also made similar comments to his opposite numbers in the U.S., France, and Turkey. Russia has also made its claims to the United Nations Security Council and said using a dirty bomb would be an act of nuclear terrorism. A dirty bomb is a bomb that contains radioactive material such as uranium, which is scattered through the air when its conventional explosive detonates. It doesn't need to contain highly refined radioactive material, as is used in a nuclear bomb. Instead, it could use radioactive materials from hospitals, nuclear power stations, or research laboratories. This makes them much cheaper and quicker to make than nuclear weapons. They can also be carried in the back of a vehicle, for example. Feds, please don't come at me. That was the BBC, and their seemingly a little too detailed chart there. FBI, I'm on my best behavior. Because radioactive fallout can cause serious illness. I'm glad Warlord wasn't here to clip that. Because radioactive fallout can cause serious illness such as cancer, such a bomb would cause panic among the targeted population. A wide area around the blast zone would also have to be evacuated for decontamination or abandoned completely. The Federation of American Scientists has calculated that if a bomb containing 9 grams of cobalt-60, and 5 kilograms of TNT were to be exploded at the tip of Manhattan in New York, it would make the whole area of the city uninhabitable for decades. Those of you who do drugs, you know exactly how much 9 grams is, or how little 9 grams is. For this reason, dirty bombs are known as weapons of mass disruption. However, as weapons, they are very unreliable. For the radioactive material in a dirty bomb to be scattered across its target zone, it has to be reduced to powder form. But if the particles are too fine or released into strong winds, they will scatter too widely to do much harm. Why did Russia make its dirty bomb claim? Now, we are reading from the BBC. So, also slanted towards a Western imperialist viewpoint. The U.S.-based Institute for the Study of War has said Russia's defense minister likely sought to slow or suspend Western military aid to Ukraine and possibly weaken the NATO alliance in scaremongering calls. There has also been speculation that Russia is planning to explode a dirty bomb in Ukraine itself and pin the blame on Ukrainian forces in a false flag attack. However, many military analysts say Russia would not be this foolhardy given the damage a dirty bomb could do to its own troops and the territory under its control. The ISW itself has said the Kremlin is unlikely to be preparing an imminent false flag dirty bomb attack. There has not yet been a successful dirty bomb attack anywhere in the world. However, there have been attempts. In 1996, rebels from Chechnya planted a bomb containing dynamite and cesium-137 in Moscow's Izmazlova Park. The cesium had been extracted from cancer treatment equipment. Security services discovered its location and it was defused. In 1998, Chechnya's intelligence service found and defused a dirty bomb that had been placed near a railway line in Chechnya. In 2002, Jose Padilla, a U.S. citizen who had contacts with Al-Qaeda, was arrested in Chicago on suspicion of planning a dirty bomb attack. He was given a 21-year prison sentence. That one we might need to view with some skepticism. We know how U.S. forces are. Years later, Darren Beirut, a British national and Al-Qaeda member, was arrested in London and subsequently jailed for 30 years for plotting terrorist attacks in the U.S. and the U.K. that would have included the use of a dirty bomb. However, neither Padilla nor Beirut had begun assembling their bombs before they were arrested. Before we move on to domestic affairs, I do want to highlight that Brittany Griner loses her appeal and will be forced to spend 9 years Russian penal colony. Back in February, the Phoenix Mercury basketball player was arrested at a Russian airport after police allegedly found cannabis oil cartridges in her luggage. The 31-year-old has remained in Russian custody ever since and was convicted in August for drug smuggling and possession. The Biden administration stopped Dennis Rodman from going to Russia, saying it was working on the situation. Stopped Bill Richardson from going to Russia. There's also a teacher who is imprisoned in Russia, more than likely bullshit charges. And I get really upset about seeing the asshole right-wingers in the comments saying she had this shit coming to her. Oh, she hates America. Let's see how she hates America after she stays in the penal colony. What the fuck? She's being used as a pawn in a game of chess by a world power. She more than likely did, and even if she did mistakenly leave that shit in her bag, she had some CBD oil on her. Even if she did, she doesn't deserve this, but I would put money on Russia planted it on her. I would put money because she travels all the fucking time. She does that she goes over to Russia all the fucking time. And she was only there because she doesn't get paid enough in the U.S. Another, stand with your fellow workers, and that even means WNBA players, because they are barely scraping to get by. And you can look up their salaries. They're probably making $150,000 or $200,000, whatever it is, but they have to pay for their own fucking expenses. It's just like WWE wrestlers. Some of them making $100,000, $200,000 barely covers what they are out being on the road. Russian border security. I learned it from watching you. Exactly. I don't put it past U.S. Police to plant shit on people, so why would I put it past Russia? Moving over to domestic policy, progressive Democrats withdraw their letter calling for more diplomatic efforts with Russia. Apparently, this is a whole thing today. A day after House progressives sent a letter to President Biden urging him to change his approach to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the group abruptly changed course amid intense pushback from Democratic lawmakers. The Congressional Progressive Caucus hereby withdraws its recent letter to the White House regarding Ukraine, as according to Representative Pramila Jayapal, the chair of the caucus, in a statement on Tuesday. The about-face comes after frustrated Democratic lawmakers took to social media to offer their explanation of the letter, originally drafted and signed by 30 members this summer, and was not recirculated ahead of its public release on Monday. It's not very long, so allow me to read it to you. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger for you. Mr. President, we write with appreciation for your commitment to Ukraine's legitimate struggle against Russia's war of aggression. Sorry about that. Your support for the self-defense of an independent, sovereign, and democratic state has been supported by Congress, including through various appropriations of military, economic, and humanitarian aid in furtherance of this cause. Your administration's policy was critical to enable the Ukrainian people, through their courageous fighting and heroic sacrifices, to deal a historic military defeat to Russia, forcing Russia to dramatically scale back the stated goals of the invasion. Crucially, you achieved this while also maintaining that it is imperative to avoid direct military conflict with Russia, which would lead to World War III, something we must strive to prevent. The risk of nuclear weapons being used has been estimated to be higher now than at any time since the height of the Cold War. Given the catastrophic possibilities of nuclear escalation and miscalculation, which only increase the longer this war continues, we agree with your goal of avoiding direct military conflict as an overriding national security priority. Given the destruction created by this war for Ukraine and the world, as well as the risk of catastrophic escalation, we also believe it is in the interest of Ukraine, the United States, and the world to avoid a prolonged conflict. For this reason, we urge you to pair the military and economic support the United States has provided to Ukraine with a proactive diplomatic push, redoubling efforts to seek a realistic framework for a ceasefire. This is consistent with your recognition that there's going to have to be a negotiated settlement here, and your concern that Vladimir Putin doesn't have a way out right now, and I'm trying to figure out what we do about that. Sounds perfectly reasonable thus far. We are under no illusions regarding the difficulties involving engaging Russia given its outrageous and illegal invasion of Ukraine and its decision to make additional illegal annexations of Ukrainian territory. However, if there is a way to end the war while preserving a free and independent Ukraine, it is in America's responsibility to pursue every diplomatic avenue to support such a solution that is acceptable to the people of Ukraine. Such a framework would presumably include incentives to end hostilities, including some form of sanctions relief, and bring together the international community to establish security guarantees for a free and independent Ukraine that are acceptable for all parties, particularly Ukrainians. The alternative to diplomacy is protracted war, with both its attendant certainties and catastrophic and unknowable risks. Russia's invasion has caused incalculable harm for the people of Ukraine, leading to the death of countless thousands of civilians, Ukrainian soldiers, and displacement of 13 million people, while Russia's recent seizures of cities in Ukraine's east have led to the most pivotal moment in the conflict and the consolidation of Russian control over roughly 20% of Ukraine's territory. The conflict threatens an additional tens of millions more worldwide as skyrocketing prices in wheat, fertilizer, and fuel spark acute crises in global hunger and poverty. A war that is allowed to grind on for years, potentially escalating in intensity and geographic scope, threatens to displace, kill, and immiserate far more Ukrainians while causing hunger, poverty, and death around the world. The conflict has also contributed to elevated gas and food prices at home, fueling inflation and high oil prices for Americans in recent months. Economists believe that if the situation in Ukraine is stabilized, some of the speculative concerns driving higher fuel costs will subside and likely lead to a drop in world oil prices. We agree with the administration's perspective that it is not America's place to pressure Ukraine's government regarding sovereign decisions, and with the principle you have enunciated, that there should be nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine, but as legislators responsible for the expenditure of tens of billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars in military assistance in the conflict, we believe such involvement in this war also creates a responsibility for the United States to seriously explore all possible avenues, including direct engagement with Russia to reduce harm and support Ukraine in achieving a peaceful settlement. In May, President Zelensky, despite deadlocked negotiations, reiterated that the war will only definitively end through diplomacy and had previously explained that any mentally healthy person always chooses the diplomatic path because he or she knows even if it is difficult, it can prevent the loss of thousands, tens of thousands, and maybe even millions of lives. In conclusion, we urge you to make vigorous diplomatic efforts in support of a negotiated settlement and ceasefire, engage in direct talks with Russia, explore prospects for a new European security arrangement acceptable to all parties that will allow for a sovereign and independent Ukraine, and in coordination with our Ukrainian partners, seek a rapid end to the conflict and reiterate this goal as America's chief priority. Now, this was written a few months ago, released yesterday, signed by Pramila Jayapal, the chair of the Progressive Caucus. 30 members signed on to it: Cory Bush, Earl Blumenauer, Jesus Garcia, Raul Guevara, Sarah Jacobs, Rokana, Barbara Lee, Ilhan Omar, Sheila Jackson Lee, Ariana Presley, Mark Pocan, Nadia Velasquez, Gwen Moore, Yvette Clark, Rashida Tlaib, Henry Johnson Jr., AOC, Mondaire Jones, Peter DeFazio, Jamal Bowman, Alma Adams, Marie Newman, Shelley Pingree, Jamie Raskin, hell yeah, Mark Takano, Andre Carson, Bonnie Watson Coleman, Donald M. Payne, and Mark DeSaulnier. All of which deserve applause on this one, because that was a very well-worded letter. I agree wholeheartedly with everything in that letter. This was a letter drafted by the House Progressive Caucus. So bravo to them. I agree with this position. Now, this letter that we just read, which is so easy to agree with, caused an uproar. A day after House Progressives sent a letter to President Biden urging him to change his approach to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the group abruptly changed course amid intense pushback. The about face comes after frustrated Democratic lawmakers took to social media to offer their explanation. So, Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs said, "Timing and diplomacy is everything. I signed this letter on June 30th, but a lot has changed since then. I wouldn't sign it today. We have to continue supporting Ukraine economically and militarily to give them the leverage they need to end the war." Oh, God. I don't like that they've backed down. I don't like that they're backing down because there was nothing wrong with that letter. I don't know what has changed other than diplomacy being even more imperative at this moment.